Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoco.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q3 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Vizjerei. Class is in session.
Hey there guys, welcome back to the 101 series here at Ruler School TCG. I'm your teaching assistant Paul Reissmann. Today's episode is about choosing a deck in the Force of Will TCG. Before we get too deep into this, let's begin by setting the table. This is a guide designed to help you choose a Force of Will deck and start playing the game, or choose a different deck and play a different kind of Force of Will for you. This comes from the experience here of the Ruler School staff, and these are suggestions for deck selection for a variety of play levels. These are just our opinions, so you can take them with a grain of salt, but we do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you found something interesting and picked it up along the way, let us know down in the comments section. These ideas are presented in the guide for the sake of the Wanderer format, but this could also be used for ABC or other fan-based formats if you are so inclined to play those instead of the Wanderer format. So let's get into some basics for Force of Will. There are some rules for deck construction in this game. Your deck must contain between 40 and 60 cards with some minor exceptions. But you also want to see if your ruler has special rules associated with them. Things like your rune deck. Maybe you have a stranger deck with your ruler. Maybe an EX deck or some other kind of sub-deck type that might be specific to the ruler you've chosen for your particular deck. Now, there are some rulers, none that are currently legal that come to mind at this moment, but there are some rulers that do alter the deck minimum and maximum. That is going to be, for example, banned now, but at one time was legal, Typhon the Infinite Monster. You could have as few as 100 and up to 200 cards in your deck. It's kind of why it's been banned, but there might be rulers in the future like Typhon that you might want to consider for your particular deck. But most of your decks are going to fall between 40 and 60 cards in constructed Force of Will. Now your Magic Stone deck, at least in constructed Force of Will, must contain at least 10 Magic Stones. However, no more than 4 Special Magic Stones. Your side deck can contain no more than 15 cards, and those can be brought in between game 1 and 2, as well as game 2 and 3. So then how do you pick a deck, right? There are so many different cards and all the different trading card games that are present for us as people who love trading card games. This is kind of what gives the wide variety of appeal and the different kind of strategies in different TCGs. This can be super overwhelming unless you know how to jump in a way that is helpful to you. One of those different ways is to focus on your play style as a player. These can help you determine what kind of decks you like to play. The other way to jump in is just to have a pre-constructed deck available for you. There are also demo decks that are smaller decks, but are really helpful for you to get used to the rules of the game and allow you to kind of get a sense of how the game is structured and how it flows. Now, other players might also have recommendations for you as well, so there are lots of different ways for you to interact with the community. We'll be including those in the video in a little bit. So then, how do you choose a deck by playstyle? Well, there are several different playstyles that fit several different kinds of players. Some players have a very particular preference for how the deck makes them feel as they play that deck. Others have the ability to pivot or mix elements together to make different kinds of strategies at different points in time of a game. If you are new to TCGs, this might be a little difficult for you to pinpoint, but this is why it's kind of fun to experiment with a wide variety of decks. It helps you discover what your playstyle is. Force of will do that with a lot of ease. So the 3 main kinds of decks that you see in Force of Will are going to be aggro decks, mid-range decks, and control decks. Aggros are decks that tend to win games very quickly through aggressive playstyles. Mid-range can skew toward aggro or control decks, but they tend to mix both together and kind of sit in the middle between those two extremes. Control decks try to outlast other decks and try and do so by winning card advantage or controlling the board or doing a wide variety of different things to kind of make it so your opponent's fuel runs out, if you'll pardon the expression. Other decks include combo decks that win through executing a primary set of combos and finding ways to get to that combo. And then there are tempo decks, which are not too popular or too known in Force of Will, but they do exist in this game, and these are decks that attempt to win through maximizing the momentum that you feel in the game. Basically, they control the flow of gameplay. If you play a card, it's going to take away momentum or resources away from your opponent in ways that benefit you while taking away your opponent's advantage. Now, there are starter decks and pre-con decks that have been released. We're going into Trinity Cluster as we speak. We've been having a lot of different competitive events around starter decks. I can be saying right now to you that one of the starter decks is very, very good if you want to play competitively in this game. Now, I Spy tends to release starter decks at the start of a new cluster, like those here in Trinity Cluster. These are good ways to enter the game and harness some of the more powerful cards and fundamentals that you will need to get into the game for the future. There are also sets that tend to be constructed in such a way that all of their support is contained within that particular product. For example, the ruler that I love the most, Olivia, as well as Violet and Wolfgang, came out all together in one set called Assault on the Demonic World. That was a really good set for new players because it contained basically everything you would need to play those rulers and those strategies. They are very varied and they are very different from one another, and that's what made them really interesting for a lot of people. Now, usually those decks are really easy to build out of a deck or out of a box or two, so that's really helpful in that way. The new constructed decks that we have for starter decks in the current Trinity Cluster are Leon's deck. She focuses on treasures and gaining a lot of advantage over your opponent because she just sees all of her treasures and removes them from the game to play later. And then Yokoshima is a deck that focuses on casting magic from the graveyard using an alternative resource that he gains at the start of each turn. He's very strong for that particular reason. Now, if you're someone who is connected to the community in some ways, and you're looking for a recommendation, there are tons of really cool players in this community and in this game who would be willing to do that. Some of the best ways to connect with that community are through the global Facebook group that we have set up. It's a great way to connect with players who can give you recommendations and answer tons of questions. There are metagame reports like those that we have on Ruler School TCG. That's our website and our YouTube channel that you're viewing everything on right now. These are good ways of finding decks that are more competitive or more interesting, that have different ideas for your own deck construction ideas. I use that kind of stuff all the time in making my own Force of Will decks. It's a really powerful tool. Players are really friendly and it's worth reaching out to them. I would highly encourage you to find all the different kinds of Force of Will communities across the internet and in person so that you can find an amazing community just like we found. So we're at the end of the video, but if you have any questions, this is your opportunity to let us know what those are down in the comment section down below. Here at Ruler School, we love interacting with the comment section and getting new players into this frankly amazing game. So let us know if you have any questions or if you have anything you're looking for. Let us know down in the comment section down below. This is not the last 101 video, so make sure to ring that bell, hit subscribe, and follow our channel for more videos like this one. Anyway, guys, this has been Paul, and class is dismissed.